Hello and fuck cape shit. Welcome to another Shittywebcomics Weekly, brought to you by our Subscribe Star backers. Check the Subscribe Star to support us and get access to all the secret videos that tell the truth that they don't want you to hear. So, donate to our Subscribe Star if you want to know the truth. Don't donate to our Subscribe Star if you don't want to know the truth. Today we're covering not a webcomic, of course, because it's just Shitty Webcomics was the name of the blog. We just cover any comics that we want to. Or we could theoretically... Here's the thing about shitty webcomics back in the day is we covered webcomics and comics in general for maybe the better part of the first year. And then after that, it was all like life advice and news and stuff. And we were like, this is why this is happening and that kind of shit. It's all connected, but generally we didn't post much about... We did still occasionally post about comics, but... Shitty Webcomics Weekly has actually been all about comics, and we do plan to stay that way.
It's just basically, for me, it was like a placeholder name. I didn't select the name first
Yeah,
off. And
I
secondly,
did.
it's not like we put a bunch of thought into the name, and
Fuckus.
I still don't care. It's shitty. We are shitty webcomics.
Yeah, it's not a great name because
Our
when we
shitty
talk
web.
when we talk about good comics or comics we like or comics we're even mildly interested in, it looks like we're trashing it. It's like shitty web comics this week
We
covering
just
Bail
all we
Buddy.
do is hate post about comics. We hate
We
everything.
hate
No,
him. No,
no, you can't do that. Just
no.
imagine having a YouTube channel where all you do is shit talk comics, and if you fucking talk about the stuff you like, people will either trash you or just not watch.
Well,
Imagine having a channel like that.
in our
I,
case, they would unsubscribe. Make sure you're still unsubscribed in that case.
most especially is you might have 100,000 subs, but only about 5,000 views per video. How do you fucking manage that? Most other
How'd
big
that
channels,
happen?
they'll have
What?
more views than they have subs.
What?
Fucking what was it, Madvocate? He has like fucking 2, 3, 4 million views on a lot of his Flash videos, and fucking he's only got 100,000, maybe 500,000 subs at this point.
Yeah, Pyrocynical has about 4 million on his main channel, and he sometimes will get 5 to 10 million views. Sometimes he'll get 4 million. Break even
So
anyway.
how comicscates do you have to be in order to fucking only get a few thousand views on
Oh,
your 100,000 subscriber channel?
did you say Comicsgate? Well, let's talk
Oh,
about something that's completely unrelated.
let's get as far from
Yes.
Comicsgate as we can get.
And which is incredibly easy because all you gotta do is talk about any good comic.
All
Wow.
you have to do is talk
Wow.
about anything. Somehow it just happens.
Wow. Anyways, so I guess the new-ish meme comic came out. A Rare Marriage: How to Grill Our Love, also known as for the love of God, or for God's sake, please let us grill. Um, uh,
For the love of God, you motherfuckers.
you
Paul.
Paul, you motherfucker. I might as well start using Coke. But author
Why not?
is
Why not use Coke?
Hanatasuka Shiori, which could be a lady broad. I have no idea. It's from
That's
the.
the problem with Japanese. In fact, we're going to talk about it. In fact, that's
We'll
what
talk
led
about
me
that.
even bringing up Yui Toshiki.
Oh yeah, that. Well, we plan on bringing that person up in perhaps the either the next episode or coming up episode. But
I don't know. Is it a pseudonym or is it seriously a Japanese lady
I mean,
broad?
assuming that is a lady broad's name.
Yeah, I don't even know. That's the problem with Japanese is I have no fucking
I
idea
have
if
no
that's a male
fucking
or
idea.
female name. They need to get on that. They need to make sure that make sure you make the distinction between male and female in the naming
They
conventions.
gotta fix that shit. But anyways,
For example, if you name your son Lin,
yeah.
you have just ruined their life.
If their first name is Lin, anyways. If their last name is Lin, you could just be like, oh, they're just Chinese or something.
Maybe
That's
if his
okay.
first name is Lyndon and they
Lin
call him Lynn for short, I don't
Lyndon,
know.
like Lyndon B. Johnson. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I might know of somebody from way back in the day, an old guy whose name was Marion, and that was probably normal for back in the 1900s. But all I can think of nowadays is either Maid Marian or fucking or not Empire Strikes Back, but what was the other one? What was the other one
Return
that
of the
wasn't
Jedi.
Star Wars?
Oh, Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
Or something.
Temple of Doom. Fucking Marion from Temple of Doom.
Anyways,
Played by Kate Capshaw.
The classic, the wonderful character.
And she was also in Starman. I didn't know she was in anything else.
I didn't know that. She was certainly less annoying in Starman.
So this is totally related to this fucking mango that we're trying to
Yeah,
cover.
well, how did you sum it up?
Fucking, please, for the love of God, just let me grill you motherfuckers.
You motherfucker. No, but you summed it up as like what the girl.
It's like it's like the pole fantasy trad Wheatfield GF nerd girl tomboy. Well, she's not really a tomboy, but she's like shy nerd girl who has a career of her own, but she's totally into grilling meat and drinking beer because he is, and they get married after like 0 days knowing each other.
Which usually isn't a great idea, but
that's the sum up of like the entire plot and all the events. And it's exactly what any guy would fantasize about. But that's the thing about Japanese culture is they can fucking do that. A fucking grill, a fucking femoid can come along.
A female grill.
Female grill can come along and actually make a story like this, and nobody is going to be screaming at them, "This fucking gender stereotype."
Either that it's woke garbage, or that it's not enough woke garbage.
It's not. That's not. This isn't woke garbage enough.
Yeah, whatever it is that the gay wads in comics complain about these days, that's pretty much irrelevant to the actual content or enjoyment of the content.
People that don't deserve to be heard from. I'm pretty pro free speech.
I think this is really why a lot of people, some not, but a lot of people in America wish they could make manga, because then their comics would just be judged on the content of the comic and not people's dumb gay fucking knee-jerk misconceptions.
That's why instinctually conservative people or libertarian or whatever the fuck, instinctually conservative people nowadays, I guess, want to make manga. The leftists
real
because
conservatives.
It's automatically consumed. If you make manga, it's just automatically that's again like fucking people who change their gender, assigning their own gender,
cosplaying.
It's like I'm taking credit for the victimization of thousands of years of being a woman. That's why they do that.
Yeah.
That is why they do that. And they don't deserve to do that. But the people who actually want to make something in manga, they fucking do it because they want to fucking actually be judged by the content of their character.
Not the actual Japanese mangers, but
no, they don't have that problem.
Yeah, because they just make the comic just to make the comic. It's fucking big industry that they kind of. I imagine that they understand that it has this giant international audience,
especially for this. In fucking actual Japanese manga, is they're doing what we tell everybody else that we want. It's like, we want real gender equality. So in fucking Japanese manga, you can show a woman getting punched right in the fucking chops, blasted right in the snout.
Her womb just getting flattened. Fucking not hesitating to drop kick any lousy woman.
And that is for funny. That's for comedy.
Yes.
It's for the sake of funny.
Instead of like even MS2UK, where a woman would get slapped and
they're
like,
they would groan and
instead of laughing.
If they ever saw a woman being slapped across the face in a movie,
yeah, they would be booing. They would just start booing loudly. Well, at least in the Joel era, and then in the Mike era, it was like, "Oh, what's he doing?"
I don't know. There was there fucking what was it?
I'm thinking Warrior of the Lost World mainly.
Girl with gold boots.
Oh yeah,
the fucking strung out broad.
Oh yeah, she gets backhanded, and he's like, "Hey, I don't think that's allowed in the employee manual or whatever."
They actually make a joke about it.
Yeah,
at least
instead of just being audibly disgusted and then going like, he
Yeah.
is a bad person.
Fucking immediately, fucking their tender fifis are hurt. They fucking have to go to the fainting couch.
Yeah. And again, that's what was with Mary Jo Pell as one of the main writers at that time too. So it's
But
like,
she was still on the fucking. She was all the fucking women were the fucking. They probably didn't have as much as a problem as the fucking
no,
guy.
yeah, the
guys had to put on the show. That
yeah,
is part of the problem too.
the guys had to perform as like, oh, I find that disgusting hitting women, whereas the women are like, it's just a movie. You should really just relax.
First off, it's just a movie. Secondly, that's just the culture. And thirdly, she got a hand coming. She's strung up.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna understand when a girl needs a backhand sometimes. Especially in like Warrior of the Lost World, where it's like a female fighter, where they're in a fight and so he punches her and they're like, oh, I mean he does cheat, but still.
This is why Bill Burr used to be genius, because he was like, you think every beating just falls out of the sky? You really want us to believe every beating just falls out of the sky?
And Jim Jeffries too. He used to be funny. He would be like, "Fucking really? All 5 boyfriends used to beat you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sounds like you're a button pusher."
Someone who doesn't know when to shut the fuck up.
Yes, exactly.
So back to this wonderful comic.
It's actually perfectly related, because then then it's like, look, here's what the perfect girl looks like.
Here's how it should be. Here's what we don't have in the Western world.
What a paradox, a bitch I don't want to slap.
A paradox, as opposed to a bitch I can't slap.
Yes.
A bitch I don't want to slap.
Which bro team was that? It was with a girl.
I'm pretty sure it was Assassin's Creed something.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood? I'm pretty sure. It was one of the really old ones.
Yeah.
Again, that's the thing. That's what we're starting to relearn. If you want to actually be funny, you have to be able to make jokes at the expense of the femoid.
Or really you have to punch down. It's something we haven't relearned that.
Yeah.
Society perhaps is relearning that. We've been saying it for years, that in order to be actually funny or entertaining, you have to essentially punch down. And you
have to be capable of it. You don't have to. It's not a necessity, but you have to be capable of it. If you're not capable of it, you're not capable of being funny ever.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. You just have to be able to. But we did videos about that, like fucking going back to 2017 and shit.
On our tombstone, it will say, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics, but maybe also it will say what it says on Sam Kinnison's grave.
Some will say he was a prophet.
If in another time he would have been called a prophet.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't remember exactly, but I did get the gist. Anyways.
Get it right. But
right. Anyways,
we're like that. We're like Sam. We're on the same level as Sam Kinison. We're just not famous as he was yet.
Sam Kinison had a different situation. Like again, if you try and become a stand-up comedian, well, back then, if you're Sam Kinison, immediately you blow up. But you try and become a stand-up comedian now, you're going to be going up against like 5,000 unfunny women and shit.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle, because also you'll get canceled early.
Yes.
You'll get discouraged as often as possible.
Cancel Leo. But
cancel Laylee? Who would want to cancel Laylee?
Can't cancel Laylee. She's gonna cancel someone else's ass.
She's brown and she's female, and she's got a disability. She's female.
She's a woman. Even you know what? You know who really loves jokes like that? Laylee, and she's a fictional character.
She sounds really cool.
There's a pixel version of her up in the upper left here. Wow. It's pretty cool. Anyways,
she's so cool, and she wears a skin tight uniform, not because it makes her more agile or anything, but just because she likes to be looked at.
Yes, she understands what sex appeal is, and being attractive. She's like, hey, I am an attractive whore. I might as well just accept it.
It can be distracting to men, and so it's a really dangerous. You know, a man is really dangerous when he's not distracted by an attractive woman and can kill her
and just savagely beat her. But then she's a werewolf, so therefore she has the Mary Sue instant win button, just like in Skyrim.
Wolfing out instantly heals all. That was the other thing. Skyrim, what a fucking great game. When you turn into a werewolf, it cures all diseases.
Just like
and heal your wound.
canonically, that's the same for Laylee.
And if you eat hearts, it will also recover health. Although you want the mod that lets you go into your inventory to drink potions, because you
Or
got 8 million potions.
at the very least, the mod that lets you fucking pop in and out of Wolf at will
Yeah,
anytime just by fucking hitting it. I mean, you have to
yeah, at will.
holster your claws first, technically, and then hit the button to fucking go back. But that works. It still
The
works.
version of the mod I have doesn't allow that because I also have werewolf loot that allows me to fucking pick up stuff. So it doesn't allow me to do that. I have to
Yeah, I thought about
basically
using
wait
that.
until the thing wears off. But then I have the Ring of Hercene that allows me to
Oh,
fucking transform as many times during the day. I have to equip it. It's a little more arduous, but it allows me to pick up loot and interact with items while as a werewolf. So I'm
wow.
going to do that.
That is handy, but yeah, I just have the mod that lets me wolf back and forth, and it's like, okay, when I'm wolf, I can't loot anything, but I can just pop back into human.
Yes.
So I just do that back and forth. And yeah, it's good. And in fact, there's footage of that as background footage for some of our wonderful Subscribe Star videos. Um,
Wow, what great footage.
yeah, it's so fun to watch, and that's just background footage of while we talk about very interesting, important topics that nobody else is willing to talk about these
You
days,
don't
but
have to
everyone
watch
else
it.
will be saying in the
You
future.
don't have to be watching the video, but
Yeah,
you can fucking listen
you can
to it,
all you have
learn
to
a
do is
lot,
listen. That's all that's
and
important.
then you can watch it too if you want, and you'll be watching some great footage too.
You'll have fun gameplay footage to look at that we actually recorded, or I did at least.
Wow, what a great! This is the best channel. This is so much better than anyone else's.
It's so
Imagine doing a
good.
5 hour stream where you're just five fucking fat, bald, old nerds with white hair just fake laughing at
Traumatized shock white hair.
somebody in blackface. Oh man, this woman was in blackface during the 1930s singing a song, and you're fake laughing as hard as you possibly
Ah ha
can,
ha
which is
ha
not
ha
very
ha
hard
ha.
because your soul is gone.
Yes. It's the NPC version of comedy. Is like, can you believe that there was weird, inappropriate things 70 years ago? Yes. I don't fucking care.
I can absolutely believe it, and in fact, it's like this is boring.
Yes.
Does somebody watch this? Does somebody watch this and actually give you money? They should have their money taken away from them.
Yeah, that's I do approve of that at least. Anyways,
Yeah,
those are actually
smaller.
more of the topics. Just a slight taste of the topics, except we go into way more depth in our Subscribe Star
So that was
videos.
a good show. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Oh wait, we didn't talk. This
Oh,
might be this
we
will
didn't
be
even
a
fucking
little
talk about the
longer.
comic.
Yeah,
We didn't even talk about
this
the comic.
video at least will be a little longer than usual because we'll get into the beginning of the comic in a bit.
I would absolutely cut it off here. Otherwise,
Yes,
I wouldn't care. It's like, hey, we did our
I would give
we
a
talked about an
shit.
entire show's worth of shit, but we're gonna actually give you guys a
Classic.
bonus and talk about the comic we're here to
Some
talk about.
more. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So the starting with the first pick that because you're the one who actually read this, and I didn't
Yeah,
read any
well,
of it,
not the whole thing or anything, because it's like fucking 50 chapters, 50 issues, and I probably read the first 10 or 20.
which is a decent amount at least. That's a few
It's,
hundred
yeah, it's
pages.
like 300 pages.
Hmm. So yeah, you linked in the notes.
I'll
A
also be
handful of
honest,
pages.
I'm probably not going to read the rest. It's okay. It's like,
But
oh, it's so
certainly
cute.
worth talking about.
It's yeah, it's worth talking about more than it is actually worth reading all of.
Yeah, so this first page, it's some kind of recipe: 8 spare ribs, half an onion, 5 tibsp of yakiniku
What is a
sauce,
fucking tibspe? I don't
a
know what these
tibs,
things are.
1 tibsp of ketchup, just regular ass ketchup, pinch of salt and pepper. And he's going, not at all. I just poked some holes in the
Yeah, I
meat with
learned
a
this. I
fork.
didn't fucking know this about cooking. It's like, and I guess I should have figured.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
he was like marinating this fucking steak. He marinated it for 3 days in olive oil, sea salt, and garlic. It's
it's
falling
falling
apart.
apart. Oh,
Oh,
then we
sounds fucking awesome.
then we shoot cinnamon sticks through it. No, don't do that.
Roll it in marshmallows. No, don't do that. You're ruining the
You're
food.
ruining the fucking food. Anyways,
Yeah, they poked some holes in it with a fork. Oh wow, forks. Those look really convenient and helpful for fucking eating food.
very handy for
You can
eating food. You know what isn't handy for eating food? Chopsticks. But yeah, you I guess you linked this one in the notes because it's
well,
actually a
partly because it's
helpful
like a
tip.
fucking delicious in dungeon. It's like they're just straight up showing you a recipe. How girly, how womanly is this?
But in a nice way because it's cooking.
Because they're showing you how to make food.
Yeah, so he says, I poke some holes in the meat with a fork, seasoned with salt and pepper, put it in a plastic bag with some shredded onions and marinade, rubbed the marinade in, and left it in the refrigerator, and then
I
just
would
grill
put
it.
it. I wouldn't put it in a plastic bag, but it is going in the refrigerator. You don't want to warm up plastic, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't
not
think
that.
a plastic bag will be a fucking problem,
I don't know if
especially
there's
if it's
like a
made for the
salt,
fridge.
salt, and is there garlic? Well, ketchup is kind of acidic. Onions are kind of acidic,
Ketchup has
or
vinegar in
rather
it,
caustic. Yeah,
vinegar. But anyways, yeah, he says, and then just grill it, simple and tasty. I think that's
we
what
have
barbecue's supposed to be.
the Pyrex.
Yeah, Pyrex is pretty good for marinating, of course.
Pyrex, and then maybe you could put plastic wrap over the top. Pyrex is you can even cook in the Pyrex, but otherwise you're not going to have to worry about like oh the fucking plastic melted. I remember that
Or that
what you
plastic
cook
somehow
something.
dissolves into the marinade, into the
Yeah,
food
you
or some
cook
shit.
something with tinfoil and ketchup over it, and
Yeah,
it
I
literally
did, and
turns.
it was from a Cecil Adams book that described putting
Yeah,
meatloaf with a ketchup glaze or something. That it had ketchup on the top, and they put tin foil, or I think it was tin foil or aluminum foil. I don't really know specifically, but they
whatever.
put it in the fridge overnight, and then afterwards was like some kind of gray goo over the top, and the tin foil was like dissolved or eaten by the base essentially of the ketchup, which is the opposite of acid, but it also means it's corrosive essentially because it's on the other end of the pH spectrum, the
Yeah,
potential hydrogen spectrum. Anyways, yeah. So
actual hydrogen
there's
as
that,
opposed to actual hydrogen. I don't know.
and
I
I
don't. I'm not.
remember that because you stole the
I
Straight
totally
Dope
stole.
book.
Yeah, totally stole a book. It's like the first one, or
I'm
maybe
pretty
one
sure it
of
was the first
the.
one. Yeah, it was. It's called The Straight Dope by Cecil Adams, which was a just people should look that up because it's worth reading. It's a fucking fantastic book.
It's pretty old. It's like from either the 60s or
The
70s.
late 70s, I think, mid to late 70s, I think. But it's very like fucking. It's like reading something you would read today almost. It's fucking kind of
It's like
shocking.
something you find on the internet, but written by somebody who's really entertaining.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Sean Baby back in the day,
back in the day, yeah.
before Sean Baby
But yeah,
launched.
it was a column in some Chicago newspaper. I forget which one, but it was a little more of an indie one, I think. But it
And
was
it was
one of
a
those ones
team.
that became a big hit in the country.
Cecil Adams was basically like a pseudonym for essentially this team of people who would research stuff and take advice columns and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was like the ultimate bizarre sort of gonzo advice column that would answer all of your weird, bizarre, random questions, including that one where I think they just sent a question being like, "Why did ketchup dissolve my tinfoil?" And I think he answered that somehow.
I
And
remember there was something in there about either the G spot or
yeah, I think he went into as much detail as possible about that stuff too.
the Grafenberg spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that. That actually that might have been like some other book of like
Yeah, that might
uh,
have been from Big Secrets, which was another
oh
pretty
yeah.
good,
You know
interesting,
what? Yeah.
important book.
Yeah, which I think we still have. I think we still have both of those books. They're very old at this point.
Big Secrets, the cover ripped off, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we still have that. And then Straight Dope, we have pretty much intact. I
Which
put
I
both of
stole
those in
from
poly
somebody
bags,
else's.
though.
I stole Straight Dope from somebody else's library.
Yeah.
Just straight up
Well,
fucking
not a person. It was from a school. It was from a school that
yeah.
clearly wasn't going to appreciate. When I say a school that wasn't going to appreciate it, I don't mean like an. It definitely wasn't an elementary school book because it's not
No,
appropriate. The kind of
no.
stuff in there is not appropriate for an elementary school. Like, I
let's just say
remember
that,
fucking How to
yeah.
Eat Fried Worms had fucking just pages blacked out because they had to cut out I don't even know, some kind of swearing that they felt they needed to cut out.
I don't remember that. Although
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember the book,
Well,
How to
not
Eat
pages
Fried
blacked
Worms.
out, but I remember big blacked out parts when the kids start fighting each other and shit, and apparently they're swearing at each other, and they're like, "Oh boy, we can't fucking do this."
And it's not the gay F slur either.
No, because How to Eat Fried Worms was from, I don't know,
Yeah, it's one
was
of
that
those.
from the 80s or was it from the 70s? I don't even
It was
know.
old. I know that it was. Yeah, it was like a kid's book.
I always assumed it was from before I was even born. Sort of
Yeah,
like Where the Red
kind of,
Fern Grows. I assumed that was like from
kind
the
of.
50s or some shit.
Shell Silverstein,
Yeah, that was from like late 70s, early 80s, though. That was
the fucking
actually
the Giving Tree. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I
Giving
know that
Tree, also known as
wasn't
the
he part
Gay
of like
Tree.
fucking. Wasn't that fucking the Gay
The
Tree?
Gay
Wasn't that
Tree.
part of like the fucking Frank Zappa crew or some shit? He was in the band.
Shel Silverstein did write cover of the Rolling Stone for for it was for a band, but I don't think they were really. I don't know how related they were to Frank Zappa, but I
Yeah,
don't think
no,
Frank
I
Zappa
don't
was in that
really
band.
know. It kind of doesn't matter because it's just from that era.
That's a great song, though. Cover of the Rolling Stone by, I was going to say Little River Band, no. And it's not by Shel Silverstein either, but Shel Silverstein wrote the song.
I
And
don't know if
it's
Shel
great.
Silverstein is the actual name of the guy either, or if that's a
I
pen
think
name.
that is his name, actually.
I don't know because I think I remember he also had a pen name. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's his. You know what, though? I would have to look that up, and we were supposed to be talking about For God's Sake, Let Us Grill, but,
For God's sake, let us
Grill
grill the
Wife.
fucking comic.
But anyways, here, yeah, you know what? All of that was very interesting and entertaining and important. And I do recommend if you look up the Straight Dope, you'll probably find a lot. I remember they had just after a while a website, and it was like Cecil Adams Continues
Oh yeah,
on the web.
yeah. That was like in the very early days of the internet. That was like '96.
Yeah, 96, 97, 90.
It
And
probably
yeah, I
went on
looked that
for a
up
while,
because I liked the book so much.
and it might still exist for all I know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, it's
who knows?
possible Cecil Adams retired, the group or whoever of
Yeah,
Cecil Adams. Because I did
because
actually
again,
think back then when I read the book that Cecil Adams was one guy who was either just really smart or knew other people who could get the information for him. Which I mean, technically, if you're just some kind of library, you go to the fucking library, and then you find all the information that you need. So anyways, yeah, going to the next page though is cute girl like sleeping on his shoulder and saying, "I'm feeling a little sleepy too. The couple's weekends have just started. They're already quite happy together. Hopefully they have the same dream. Next time let's grill some meat that pairs well with a cold beer." And
oh,
so I guess
it,
it's just
it's just
cute.
literally they're leaning so fully into the fantasy.
Yes, it's just pure fucking like trad wife trad life fantasy that it is weird that it's even fucking made. But see, that's the thing is like if an American made this, there would be so many levels of disconnection. First of all, whoever made this would probably not have any interesting point to it. Like
Yeah,
they
they'd be
wouldn't
called a
go
rapist.
cute enough, or they wouldn't
Fucking
go romantic enough, or something
come
like
out to
that.
you, rapist. They'd be called a rapist.
Yeah, and there's all that it would be called like a misogynist fantasy, or it would be called fucking woke garbage. Either way. So again, that's like we were saying. This is why some people, the newer generation, the younger generation, the Pepsi generation, if you will, is growing up wanting to make manga because then you like as we said, you don't have to enter into this entire like not just wanting to make manga, but wanting to be Japanese in Japan making manga, or at least not being known that you're a bear in real life or whatever the fuck. That
A dog in real life.
yes,
Nobody knows you're a dog in real life.
yes. But yeah, that's one of the many, many, many reasons why people would prefer to make manga because then they can just make the content of their comic would be judged for the actual
You can
content
appeal
instead
to
of
the
how
id,
it
but there's
looks.
also, in particular, appealing to the male id. And the
Yes.
male id, in this case, is like, just want a fucking relationship with a woman that's not a harpy.
Just a girl to fall asleep and lean against you in your fucking lounge chairs or your
After you just consumed an entire steak.
yes, and had a fucking beer perhaps. But okay, so the next page, Coleman Cool Spider Pro, price 10,800 yen with tax.
Which I think is $100.
Um,
It's either $100
or a
or a
thousand.
thousand.
I think it's more like a thousand. It looks like a very simple grill, but it could be a thousand for
From
all I
what I
know.
remember about the exchange rate,
A
they don't
yen is
have
like one
pennies,
cent.
or if they do, the fucking yen is so devalued that they might as well not have pennies. So this would be 100, and most grills are $100, even
Like,
nice
yeah,
ones.
very simple grills. Oh, of course, it does depend on the season, if it's summer or if it's fall or whatever. Fall, to be honest, I always thought was the more ideal time to grill because then it's cool outside, but you're in front of the heat and that kind of stuff.
Well, I also remember we do that in the middle of winter, fucking start
Yeah,
up the
I
outdoor
I, I
grill.
loved grilling in the winter. I don't
Was
give a shit.
somebody? Well, it was mom. Mom had a fucking outdoor gas
Mm.
grill with a gas line.
Yeah, hooked
Uh,
up to the gas line. It actually worked. It was old. It was kind of junky, but it did. It worked. You stick the grill lighter in the bottom, fucking light it, and then put tin foil over the dirty ass fucking grill top. And
it would scrub the grill top, but basically it was never clean enough
but I
for
don't
me to
I don't
justify
remember
not putting
ever
oil.
scrubbing the grill top. I would just fucking and I would just
Scrubbed it a few
squeeze the.
times,
I was
but
not
yeah.
fucking good at grilling. I would squeeze all of the fucking meat, just have it spraying and squirting all the grease directly into the fire. That was part of the appeal for me. This was
All
a
the
very,
fat,
very
yeah,
long
yeah.
time ago.
All the fat, all the blood
I
would
didn't have
fucking
anyone to teach me differently.
but they were still delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I liked fucking what's beyond well done. That's what I would cook it to. I would do it differently. The thing is, I still don't like pink meat because I associate that mentally with diseases.
Well,
So
that was the thing is mad cow is a big fucking problem right around there, the 90s and fucking
the
for me it was like
'90s.
I don't trust anyone else with my food.
I don't trust anyone else. Period. Anyways,
Well, I have to be able to fucking I prefer to cook my own food,
we
and that's why it's important to learn.
we'll cover the rest of this page at least. And then wrap up this episode. And next episode we'll definitely cover more of the comic, and we'll wrap that up then probably. Anyways, so he says we're cooking at home, so let's keep it light. I'll adjust the heat by changing. I assume they're cooking outside because you kind of see some leaves. Here's one important thing also. They know, like here in the previous couple of pages, that you don't really need backgrounds almost ever. Backgrounds are almost entirely extraneous as long as you understand where they are. You can either have very
Well, I mean,
vague
yeah,
backgrounds, or if you've established the background in one panel, that's all it takes. One panel, and you establish the background in that one
especially
panel.
if you
You never really have to draw it again as long as they're not going
you're
anywhere
putting
else.
the detail into the characters, which is like the main thing.
And it doesn't
Yeah,
take that much detail either, necessarily.
this one where they're fucking kind of nodding off during the middle of the day. You see clouds in the background. It's like
Yeah.
that's perfect. I understand exactly what's going on.
With a very mild background to it, very simple. And usually it's like the Manger Kaz will have an assistant to do backgrounds. Like the creator themselves is like, I don't need to do backgrounds. But even then, when they have an assistant, the backgrounds, again, are usually extraneous. You don't need them. They're
They drew 20 pages in one day.
and the nice simple the simplicity it's easier on the eyes when the art is a bit simpler like this. And the style is, again, not just simple, but it's boiled down to look appealing. The faces are extremely simple because it's psychologically more appealing and easier on the eyes just to look at and just to glance at in a way. And then There's actually quite a lot of detail, though, in the grill here, which I think is more like just a 3D model here, just transferred.
It might as well be, and also that doesn't matter either.
Yeah, no.
It's like people are complaining so much about AI art nowadays.
Hmm. But also the food is extremely detailed, and that could be either there could be a lot of tactics for how they did the food, actually taking a photograph or drawing over a photograph or filtering a photograph in some way, maybe, because basically when you're making a comic, you got to do whatever, you got to hustle in any way you possibly can just to make sure that it's getting done, essentially, and
Yeah,
that
make sure that it's actually getting completed. The one thing you don't want to do is spend a whole bunch of time just drawing and drawing and drawing, and then telling people it's going to be the best thing whenever it comes out,
it's
and
at
then
the printers.
berating people who are tired of waiting.
Telling people it's at the printers, and then months go by and it's still not out yet. That's when a lie sounds like. That's as we've proven
Oh yeah,
many times.
it's not even just that you're bad at what you do. You're also just straight up lying
You're a bad
when you do
person.
that.
Yes, you're a bad person. You're ugly on the inside as much as you are on the outside, which is a huge amount in those cases.
It's a very telling amount.
Anyways,
I will say also there was like a few earlier pages where it's like fucking, it's like the meat and it looks all shiny, like it's covered in sausage casing, and it's like kind of gross actually. It looks like it's too wet. It looks like it's covered in rubber or something.
gross,
That was
yeah.
like one of the early pages, and that is also one of the problems with the fucking book. Most of the fucking food in this book looks good, but sometimes it's like weird. They're putting like what was it? It was like rainbow pepper or something over ice cream. It's like don't do
No,
that.
to do that to fucking shooting cinnamon sticks through the fucking throwing prawns onto the ice cream and that kind of shit. It's like
Yeah,
stop
exactly. It's
ruining
like
the food.
don't do that. But at least they acknowledge it's like, well, I didn't expect that to actually be any good.
That's by the way, that's a. I think we've done that reference and explained it previously, but that's a Joe DeRosa reference where he talks about how annoying it is to go to a nice restaurant because they just keep ruining the like very nice food, but they get too fancy with it and ruin it. And those just fucking. It's funny because Joe DeRosa is kind of funny, but those things really stuck in my mind because it's like you know that there's many examples of that in real life too, especially in New York, of course.
You can understand what he's talking about.
Yeah,
It's like they're getting so fancy with the food. It's like, oh, my mouth is watering right now. It's like, hold on, wait, we didn't finish ruining it
yeah,
yet.
exactly. Um, Anyways, so yeah, this guy says we're cooking at home, so let's keep it light. I'll adjust the heat by changing the distance between the charcoal and the grate. And she
That's
says,
another thing that gets brought up in the comic a whole bunch of times. It's like, oh yeah, it's hard to control the temperature when you're cooking with charcoal. So we do this thing where we put a little charcoal on this side of the grill and more charcoal on the other side of the grill. And it's like, oh well,
"Oh,
I
so you
learned
have
something else.
like a low burner and a high burner essentially. You can control like if it's cooking too fast or something, you could throw it onto the other side with the less charcoal. That's actually pretty smart. I
Yeah,
usually
see, it's
don't think of
teaching. Well,
that.
they might already know some stuff about this,
That's another
and
thing
it's
about manga.
teaching you if you don't know something that this
American
is something
comics
to be
don't
learned
fucking do
here.
this. This is another thing that American comic creators and writers don't do is that they write about something that they just don't know anything about. Um, when the comic is entire the comic's about grilling, and in an American comic they wouldn't know about grilling, whereas and then American readers get that completely wrong and are completely moronic about it,
And
where
it's
they would
also
read
that's
something
the
like
fucking
Common
thing.
America and say this comic clearly doesn't know, it doesn't have any facts about tailoring, and it's like the comic's not about tailoring though,
That is actually the thing is with
obviously.
especially with American comics is they're afraid to fucking go into autistic detail about something,
Yeah.
but they don't mind going into autistic detail about here's the fucking time frame of this shit and this other stupid unimportant shit
Oh
or
yeah,
this
yeah,
these
about
boring things.
continuity and
I wanted
canon.
to hear about the fucking how they make their uniforms. I don't care about this shit. That none of this is important.
Yeah, they go into autistic, American comics go into autistic detail about these stupid continuity, time travel, fucking feedback loops, and fucking
How do their powers
retcons.
work? People are still saying that about Isom. You know, it's like, how does his powers work? What are his powers? Who fucking gives a shit?
Yeah,
He's
it's a
not a
retarded
character.
comic by a thin-skinned moron.
There's
There's really
nothing to
nothing
know.
else. Yeah, there's nothing to know about it. It's not a real comic. It's just a fucking secretly astroturfed by a big J-word
And again,
company.
though, then you look at this shit right here. It's showing you like even details about like the grill, the price,
Yeah,
the
this again,
recipe.
this shows a
Fuck, and there's still
legitimate
characters.
this shows a legitimate passion and understanding for the subject matter. And again, like Common America actually has passion and understanding for its subject matter, but stupid American cape shit readers think that the subject matter somehow they get this. Some of them get this stupid idea, and not the fans. I'm talking about like just. I remember seeing some really dumb, clearly
I
cape
forgot
shit
about that.
fans, clearly
I
cape
forgot.
cocks.
Completely
Yeah, because
forgot.
it was like a year ago at this point or more. But yeah,
But yeah,
a
it was
couple of them
so
were.
unimportant.
It was most likely just one person, of course, but posting anonymously so that they could make their own sock accounts, of course. Which I fucking if you're on an anonymous message board, that's totally fine and normal actually. But some of them will reply to themselves, being like, "I agree with you," just telling that to themselves. It's kind of pathetic, but one who was like, "Common America is it's terrible because there's nothing about tailoring. She's supposed to be a tailor, but there's no information about
It's a
tailoring in
seamstress.
this." And it's like that's not what the story is about. The story isn't about tailoring, whereas this is about grilling. It's like fucking.
Yeah,
It's
it
like if
doesn't have
you
to be
went
though.
into this and
It
said,
also doesn't have to be. This
"Yeah,
doesn't have to be about grilling. It doesn't have to be about tailoring or being a seamstress. It doesn't have to be about those things. It's about whatever the story is actually about. You have to read the story to know. Fucking Delicious in Dungeon. It's not about cooking meat,
yeah."
but it's a big feature of it. It's about this D&D adventure.
Yeah, about this guy's sister got turned into a fucking dragon or something like that, and they have to
Yeah.
they want to cure her or just fucking
They're trying to save her, and they're trying to find a way to save her,
yeah,
and they have to survive down in the dungeon in order to do that. So they have to eat the meat of fucking monsters.
yeah, in order to
Right?
keep
It goes
going.
into artistic detail about like the cuts of meat of like fantasy
And
creatures.
the recipes, of course, which all of them basically use oil, all of them use salt because those are just
Yeah,
like
lots and lots
natural
of.
prerequisites in the most
There's
part.
a ton of meat. There's like no fucking vegan vegetarian. That was one of the what was it in Scott Pilgrim. It's like, here's a fucking good vegan recipe for when you have protein. And it's like, okay,
Okay,
but
I'll be ignoring that
if you're a
gay
vegan, you're
shit.
not welcome.
You're not
If you're a
welcome
fucking
in my
vegan, you should
house.
get the fuck out.
And was just getting through the rest of this page, though. She says the height of the grate is adjustable, right? I remember that. And he says, that's right. First on high heat, grill both sides until crispy. And the food looks good, making me hungry. The idea of it certainly makes me hungry.
I don't know if that gets linked or whatever, but there's a fucking part in the fucking story where they go shopping for fucking appliances and stuff.
I
And
guess
it's
we'll
like,
see.
this is something in a relationship you never see or hear about.
Hmm.
Is going shopping for like furniture,
I do like you
fucking
could see
what you're gonna get for your house.
the adjustable the grate is raised in this, so you could see charcoal under. And again, pretty simple details for this last part, this last panel, where you see clearly charcoal, some just clouds that imply heat or steam, and then just me on the top. It's just like there, you get the idea, and you also see how this works. It's kind of funny because it would work, of course, as product placement. But with Japanese people, they don't do this for product placement. They do it because most likely it's what they actually have in real life that they've used in real life, and are like, here, this is what I've used in real life, so I understand how this works,
Yeah, the
and I
thing
can
is
show
too
it in the
small.
comic.
The comic is too little known. It's not well known enough in order to fucking qualify as product placement.
Yeah.
So it's just straight up here. Here's the thing I use. This is the thing they're interested in, the autistic interest in fucking being like, here's the equipment I use for exactly
Well, the
this kind of
idea
thing.
is also
That's all they care about.
clearly the idea also is that it's like if you were a reader of this and thought, oh, I want a grill now, they would actually be giving you information you could use, that you could take away from the book and into real life.
It's like, some hard data.
And that also works in Delicious and Dungeon to that extent. Anyways, so the last panel says, then grill slowly on low heat to let the heat reach the center, which I'm guessing low heat is actually the version where it's raised, where it's further away from the charcoal. So anyways,
controlling the temperature by fucking raising the grate.
Lots of good points here. A little bit of a deluxe video. These are the kind of sort of more long form and of course wonderfully derailed videos, as we often do. Lots more videos like this. Some of them less derailed.
This derailment video has more information in it in just a few minutes than entire 6-hour streams of a lot of these dipshit streamers.
Yeah, these other people in comics who really don't have any insight to comics or even reading comics, making comics, or understanding comics. So if you want to support people who actually know what they're talking about and aren't going to pander to you and will just tell you the straight dope without caring if you like it or not, then donate to our Subscribe Star. Wow. And also, you get access to tons and tons of extra videos that you can only see on our Subscribe Star. It's a new one every 5 days, and there's at least 100 in the archives right now, along with some repostings of some of our classic reviews. I think our old review of My Hero Academia was actually public, so. But that's one of the ones I could have just put on these videos.
Some of those videos were lost when somebody false flagged our channel because we didn't. Yeah, again, that's their comic.
We've gone into that, and there's the whole story of that. Of course, is told many times on our Subscribe Star videos as well. And the reason why they're on our Subscribe Star videos is also told in our Subscribe Star, as well as old videos of this. We've gone into that as well, but. Yeah, so enjoy all that. Like, unshare, reshare, unshare, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe. Make sure you're still unsubscribed and should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.